everyone. Welcome to the Deep Drop. This is a fishing podcast, and it's the finale for 2024. Luke McCredden here, and Adam Ring with me, as always. Ads, we're wrapping it up for a year, mate. It's been a big one.
Been a huge year. It's gone crazy quick, it feels like. But
Yeah.
I guess that's just a sign of getting older, isn't it?
Well, I guess it's something. I mean, we still haven't landed on what the podcast is about in these intros. I put that on you, but that's okay. You've got next year to get better.
Yeah, that's right. I can go and do some homework over the next little break.
I don't think you'll land on anything. But I can tell you this. It's been a hell of a ride. We're going to get into some of the highlights and bits and pieces that have come from what is a big 2024. But I don't think we muck around any longer because we're joined by our two favourite, let's call them finale end-of-year co-hosts that we've ever had / only had. And they're here now, so let's bring them in. Lee Rayner, Andrew Hart, welcome to the Deep Drop for the finale for the year. Welcome.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having us again.
Yeah.
Feels like about a year ago we did this.
About that.
It's weird, eh?
Yeah.
It's a great privilege and a great honour. It's like my only ever repeat sort of gig that I've been asked back to. So,
Yeah. We only got asked because everyone else is at Christmas party.
I understand that, buddy. I know.
Not at all. It's awesome. We have had interactions with you guys throughout the year on this show, which has been a blast. So last year was a lot of fun, and we thought, hey, let's do it again. Let's wrap it up in style, and awesome to see you guys. I know we have a fair visual on what you blokes are doing throughout the year. We're going to get into a fair bit of that because I want to hear a bit of behind the scenes, under what's actually happening, some of your highlights, some of the things that you've seen throughout this year, and dive into that. But more importantly, have we all got a drink? Have we all got a beer or something? Just to
Not a Christmas party without
No,
one.
I know. That's where I was going with it. I just wanted to make... Oh, no. What's Lee got? Hardy, you got a nice red? What are we talking about there?
Lee's on the waters. Designated driver.
Yeah, no, there's got to be one.
That's all right. I've got a little Tassie Pinot. When I drink it, my little finger, I raise my little finger like that. And sometimes wiggle it around like that. And
Okay, look at that. He's just, in the space of 3 seconds, he's turned classy.
that is how you drink a Tassie Pinot and be a wanker at the same time.
You don't need to drink Pinot.
Now, can we kick this off, Ads? Because but this was completely unscheduled, by the way. We're about to go live or hit record, and there was something in the air between these two, wasn't there?
Tension.
There's
tension, Luke. Yeah.
I can feel it. Can you? I'm just going to throw it to you guys. You need to sort this out right here, right now. What's going on with you, Rayner? You're not happy about something.
He, Andrew Hart, went to Port Macquarie after I was there and fished with my mate Pat Linehan.
I think I've known him longer than you.
And, yeah, that's true. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, Hardy. And proceeded to go and catch the flathead that I spent days trying to catch. In fact, it's only a lifetime that I've been trying to catch that fish. Yeah. And you just rock on into town and throw your bloody lure and catch it.
Yeah.
Well, not only did I, and look, I'd like to talk about this fish in detail at some point, maybe later. I don't know, unless you want to sort of get right into it now. But we caught two of them, Lee. Pat caught one the day before.
Yeah, I know.
And then I got one the
Geez,
next
what were you
day.
doing,
It was
Lee?
pretty easy, actually. It wasn't that hard.
Shut up, Hardy.
So
Shut up, Hardy.
So you've just seen the footage that Lee's come up with, Hardy, and thought, I'm going to go do that? Or was this something planned and scheduled? Talk us through it.
No, look, this was a road trip. I was bringing my bar crusher back from Brisbane, and I had a couple of days to sort of kill. And we do know a guy up there called Pat Linehan, who's lovely bloke, works for Bar Crusher and a few other companies as well, and has a guiding business up there at Port Macquarie. And I hit him up, and we everything we touched turned to gold. We went out in the morning, and look, he put a lesson on for me, but we caught snapper on plastics. He got one like probably 90 odd centimetres. It was a good fish. And then we came back in, and he goes, "Oh, we'll try for a flathead." And he proceeded to catch a 97.5 centimetre flathead in probably in 50 centimetres of water, which sort of jumped and tail walked like a blue marlin, and it was just mind blowing.
Can you stop?
And, you know, we
Can you
filmed
stop?
that, and it's like, wow, what, you know, we are seriously kissed on the dick here today.
Yeah.
And then that was sort of it for the day. Good day, but had one more day to go. So I said, well, I want one of those, and yeah, look, it happened.
So Lee, I suppose you're. How did you go?
I got a 90. I got a 93.
Oh, did you? It's
which-
not all bad.
okay.
You're carrying on like there's.
Yeah.
You missed out.
Hang on,
Completely.
no, sorry. Was it? No, it wasn't 93. Sorry, no,
It was
It
39.
was 103.
It was like 89 or something, 87 or something.
What?
Like that.
So,
Still
Lee,
a
what
bloke.
is your biggest flathead?
89.
What are you laughing at? That's not a bad fish. What's yours,
I know,
Hardy?
took me
it's Lee
years.
Rayner, who like is a gun and loves flathead fishing, because I remember speaking to him at the start of the year. We were at Bar Crusher.
I'm getting
And
all
he
hot and
was
itchy.
telling
Can we
us
stop?
about and weeks and weeks just smashing these massive flatheads with this new technique of big lures in the super shallow, skinny waters. And you know, he's sort of painting himself as the master of this new technique. And well, do you know how big mine was, Lou?
Tell us.
How big was your one?
98 centimetres.
Oh,
Yeah,
Nearly a metre.
yeah, but it was. But it wasn't.
big fish.
2 centimetres off a metre. It's a flat. We're talking a flathead, not a barra.
And what did you?
Yeah, but I'll do the meter in Victoria, mate.
Yeah, I know you will, and I hope you do. I honestly do.
Do you know, I actually, mate, and I was like, I saw that fish and I was so excited for you
No,
guys
man.
because I was because I've never caught a knife
After he calmed down a little bit.
after I threw the phone. I've never. It took me years and years to get to my 89. Like I got my 89 last year, but I reckon over the years in my boats I've had 10 fish over 90, but I just haven't been the one that's caught
Yeah,
one.
wow.
But saying that, as much as I want to meet a flathead, I don't want to catch it because then what do you do?
Well, so hang on. Talk me through the meter flathead, Lee. How realistic in Victoria is catching a 1 meter flathead?
Oh yeah, it's I've seen them and they've been caught out of tyres, but I don't fish lake tyres. There's better waterways, and there's genuine meter fish. I've seen meter fish at lakes entrance, genuine meter fish, and probably more. I saw one last year. I mean they all look big. They just look giant. But I was calling this thing 105 to 110.
What's your take on
Like it was
that being something new, or has they always been there and our techniques have changed that make them more?
No, well,
catchable?
we've had 5 years of no commercial
Yep.
netting, and then you've just got a massive waterway that is full of food. Like the flathead in the Gippsland lakes are fatter than any flathead you'll catch anywhere, like bar none. And everyone who goes there and gets them goes, man, how fat are these fish? So there's bulk food. Like I was there last week. Every sand flat was just rippling with mullet from 20 to 30 centimetres, like to the point where you go, I'm just going to go because they're not going to eat my shit over a live mullet. Yeah. And now it's crawling with prawns. So here's the big news, boys. One of the locals who knows his stuff said to me he believes this year will be the best prawn run in 15 to 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Because we've seen some impressive prawn runs.
Like he's
So what's it?
Frank,
They're just going to fill the bloody lakes, and you're just walking on the top of them, pretty much.
Mate, Frank Melito, he's got a commercial bait license down there, and he uses a drag net. He's getting his 150 kilos in like 2 hours.
Far out.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and it's only December, so there's a lot of.
So when's the ideal time? Just throughout summer.
Well, it's generally not till January, February, isn't it?
For the prawns. Yeah, it started early. There's already big ones because there's prawns. He said there's prawns in there that are from last year, so they're already those sort of 5-6 inch long prawns.
Yeah.
And a prawn grows about an inch a month at this time of year.
Okay.
Far out.
So, yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be real good.
So what the flathead?
Yeah, I believe there's a lot. I believe there's already a lot of meter flathead in Gippsland lakes, and I think in the next 5 years there will be a stack because even last week the average length of flathead that I got there, the average length, because I've recorded it all, was 76 centimetres.
Well, see, this has probably been, I think, one of the biggest revelations in flathead in Victoria over the last, realistically, it's only the last 18 months to 2 years. I mean, flathead in Gippsland's not a new thing. I think I do remember, it would have had to have been 10 years ago, maybe longer. I did see a photo of a genuine 1 metre flathead come out of Lake Tyers. But what's changed the biggest in the last 18 months is it's not just Lake Tyers, where it used to be. If you wanted to genuinely target a metre flathead or say anything over 75, 80, you'd go to Lake Tyers. I don't know whether it's a combination of the netting. I don't know if it's a combination of Lake Tyers opening multiple times for the first time in a very long time during those floods of last year, I think it was, maybe even been late the year before. Plus there's been dusky flathead stocking done by the VFA, which those fish wouldn't be a metre, but it's the old, activity creates activity. I think we've just had a series of events where all the moons have aligned, and it set us up for one of the greatest eras of flathead fishing we've probably ever seen.
Yeah, for sure. And look, that joint's only just starting to hit its straps now. But there's, like I said, there's other great estuaries like, Bam, Tamboon, Malakuta. Like we're pretty lucky. We've got a lot of big flatties. But let me tell you, up where Hardy and I were at Port Macquarie, man, there's a lot of big flatties up there too. Did you guys see a lot, Hardy, when you were there?
We saw a few. But the interesting thing was where we were fishing, which was toward the mouths of those rivers. You'd only get a small flatty or a massive flatty. Like there were not a lot of 50s, 60s, and 70s. They were all like 80 plus, or they were 40 and below. The sort of the 60s and 70s were up the river further. That's according to Pat. And so, doing this shallow water technique, which we were doing with the big lures in, only a couple of feet of water, they were all big fish, and there were heaps of them. And there were areas where there was, half a dozen or more of those massive fish.
And is that even
and it's the same,
even for them? Like, so somewhere like the Hastings River or any of those mid-north coast rivers, is that a new thing for them as well to see so many big? I mean, you guys have done subsequently 2 days or 3 days each and got 80s and 90s. Like that's, is it just fishing off its face at the moment, or is it pretty common?
I think it's always
pretty common.
Big ones,
yeah. And it's a big thing in New South Wales and Queensland. Flathead fishing, like we're making out like down here in Victoria, it's just started in the world. But up there, flathead fishing is huge, and their fishing would be even better if they didn't have commercial netting.
Yeah. And it gets even more popular the further up you go. So I've done most of my dusky flathead fishing on the Gold Coast over the years. I've fished that a lot. The Fish Flathead Classics. But there's I don't know if anyone's actually ever caught a metre fish out of there.
I fished the other week, Hardy, with your mate Dicko up in the Gold Coast there, and we were talking about that. And it was they are so passionate about their flathead fishing up there, and there wasn't many metre flathead that he can remember sort of seeing come from those, whether at those canals
I don't
or
think
out
any legitimate ones. A few like in the 90s, but metre is not so much. But then you go further down to those sort of northern rivers, New South Wales, and 104, 105, 106s. They're bloody massive.
They're
big
huge.
Things. And what a well managed fish too. To have to let the big ones go. I just think that's a great fishery, and I'm addicted to it. I love it. I mean, we don't have them in Tassie, but that bite from that fish made it all worthwhile. And I fished pretty hard for that fish. I know it was only a day and a half, but I reckon
and they don't come easy.
No,
That's
I reckon I made
sometimes
500 casts for that fish.
But
you sort of know.
But I reckon
in the game.
Big part of it that's exciting is you're fishing generally water you can see the bottom.
Yeah, that's pretty
and
cool.
I think that's what makes it an exciting form of fishing. Even I always say to people, you want to catch flathead to eat, just fish the drop offs and fish 3, 4, 5, 8 meters of water. If you want to catch a big one, fish less than 1.5.
Yeah, and it's not for everyone because you burn a whole day and you might catch a fish.
Oh yeah.
And then you got to let it go. So it's not for everyone, but I can absolutely see its appeal, and I loved it. And I really wanted to catch that fish. When I hooked it, I hated the fight because they're quite violent and they shake their heads, and it's just I was just waiting for the hooks to come out. Like I was expecting the hooks to come out.
Yeah.
But luckily it ate the lure right down. So yeah.
And
right.
well, I was going to ask, what did you catch it on, Hardy? And then I'll ask the same thing to you, Rayner.
Product. So I actually that morning went to the fishing tackle shop up there in Port Macquarie and spent my own money.
No, you didn't. That is a
lure.
lie.
I did on a new Xeric Affinity, which is a a little swim. Well, what size is the new one? You'd probably know.
It's a new one. It's a little one. Yeah.
New one's
160.
Like 14 or 15 centimeters or something.
Yeah,
Yes, 160 mil, 140 mil.
Yeah, maybe 160. I reckon it's a 160, and no weight on it, and it just swam perfectly, and I just knew that was going to get nailed. And interesting enough, it caught a lot of little flathead as well as the day went on, and I dropped a good one on it, and then got that big one right at the end of the afternoon, and
That's cool.
it smashed it.
That's awesome. Lee, what have you been getting those big ones on down south, and up there?
Up there, we were fishing plastics and jerk baits again, like big unweighted plastics. Or I think I got that 80 odd that I got. That was on just a jerk bait. But then last week, I actually was doing really well on top water, on big sugar pens and the duo pencil.
Yeah, nice.
And then also on jerk baits as well. I actually didn't do that well on plastics.
What's pretty cool is they seem to be something that you can target using I won't say anything, but a lot of variety of lure styles.
You can, but then they'll dial in on something. I fished a flat, with a plastic, and you don't get a bite, and you go, I know they're here. And then you go back and you do another run with a jerk bait and you catch 3.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. So that's where it can be frustrating fishing on your own, if you're fishing on your own, because you can only throw one thing at a time and you're sort of chopping and changing and trying to work out what
get
works.
better and learn how to cast and wind with 2 hands at once. That's what
Is it year round in Victoria, Because I know they get them year round in New South Wales. Well, you can literally do it every day and have a crack at them.
Yeah, unfortunately we don't get them in winter, and that's what I love about that North Coast. Some of their best fishing is in the winter months. But yeah, for us, it's a real water temperature.
I was going to say, so is that the difference? Once you get a little bit north, the water temperature holds a little bit more steady, so you can target them in those cooler months. Because I have wondered about those big fish in Vic, because if 7-8 years ago you told me that all of our big Murray cod were going to come in the dead set middle of winter, I would have told you were an idiot. And it made me rethink everything. And flathead was one of those species that really, I'm like, all right, so are we missing something here? Do we need to maybe branch out and think a little bit like we do with cod, fishing big, slow lures, not so much in -3 temperatures in the middle of the night, but maybe getting up into some of those backwaters? Or do they sit on maybe some of those deeper drops in the winter, just sulking, waiting for a big meal that they don't have to work hard for, rather than trying to eat 500 3-inch minnows?
Yeah, I think they don't move far in winter. Like through summer, they'll go from deep water up onto a flat and do their thing and then back. And winter, I reckon they only make minimal moves and just eat stuff that potentially comes close to them. Because if you ever see them in winter, you can get close to them before they'll bust off. It's like because they're cold.
Yeah.
So to your point, Ads, that's not dissimilar to a cod, right? In winter, they're not going far, are they? They're just sort of mooching in their little snag and eating when it comes by them.
Yeah, but I think more than anything, the big lure could be the answer in that colder water. I mean, it sounds a little bit counterintuitive trying to get a fish to eat, but I feel as though if it's cold and their metabolism is really low because of the cold water, rather than try and swim around and eat 500 prawns that are 3 inches long, they're going to work hard for 15 seconds, eat a 30 to 45 centimetre mullet, and then just go back to mooching on the bottom.
Yeah, possibly.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
It's what you do,
even in the summer.
That's how I live my life.
That's the story of your life. I just wanted to touch on, Lee, we're seeing weekly video uploads from you on YouTube, which is awesome, with all sorts of different,
Rubbish.
Well,
rubbish.
I wasn't going to say rubbish. I think
rubbish.
it's okay.
It's very good.
There was a squid episode that was full of rubbish.
Yeah, that was complete drivel. Yeah, I had a few messages going, cool video. I'm like, clearly didn't watch it till the end.
No, that's it.
There was only one thing that could have made that better. You nearly went in the drink. You were dicking around on the transom and you nearly fell in. And would have been, even Clarkey, your cameraman, went, geez, that would have been good.
Yeah, I know.
Could have given him a shove.
Yeah, but then he would have yelled at me because I would have drowned a mic.
Yeah, true. And I want to dive into that, what you're doing a bit more. Hardy, you have just launched into season
458, yeah.
20,000? What season of Hook, Line and Sinker has just gone to where?
Well, I don't know. It sort of gets but so we made the first ever one in 2000. So you could say it's series 24, I suppose.
Right.
Yes. So,
all right. And
we were close.
We're quite literally, as we're recording this, at sort of 2 or 3 episodes in. So.
Three episodes in,
3.
so yeah, this is it. And look, I can break this news with you, boys. This will be my last series of Hook, Line and Sinker.
No.
You could have toughed it out to 25 years.
I know. I don't think I could tough
Would
it
have got
out.
a letter from the Queen.
Yeah.
I've cut back to half-hour shows this year, which has been much more pleasant. But yeah, look, I've just done it for too long. I'm burnt out, and I've
Fair
got
enough.
kids that are running around playing school sport.
Did you guys keep making the show through COVID?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we made basically
Yeah, that's what I
Tassie
thought.
series, and then Queensland Open, so it was a Tassie Queensland series.
Yeah.
But no, look, the landscape's changed, and Hook, Line and Sinker has always been a truly national show, and it's expensive to make, and doing that, all around the country. And it's just there's just too much content out there now, on YouTube, on social media, on TV as well. And it's just, I just can't justify the time away. Like when it was humming, we were away for 6 months of the year.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And I just feel like I'm done. So yeah,
Fair
it's
enough.
not bad. It's good. It's exciting. So this will be the last series. And you've heard it here first.
You're a quitter.
Deep drop. What's that?
Pussy, did you say, Lee?
Pussy.
Well, I just get a bit serious without getting too serious. I think there wouldn't be too many people around Australia that wouldn't just tip of the cap to you, because Hook, Line and Sinker has just been an absolute brilliant thing to watch whenever, and even if you watch old episodes now, it's still piss funny and relevant. And I think it's you've done an amazing job over the last 24, 5 years, Hardy.
Yeah.
So you should be proud of it. I'm sure you are.
We are, mate, yeah. No, we are proud of it. And that sort of niche of just being dickheads and pulling the piss and not taking anything too seriously, I think that's what resonated, from the start and right up to the very end. And interesting, some of that old stuff I am now going to get someone to help me, but, get YouTube up and cranking, because I've probably got 300 or 400 episodes there that we can
I think it's a fair
into something.
It's a fair thing. There's 2 things with Hook, Line and Sinker. Like you, Hardy, and when Nick was doing it, like you guys could make gold out of nothing, and people who don't make television don't know how hard that is to do. Yep. Like you guys could just be catching absolute rubbish, but you'd still be glued to the telly. So that's a real talent. But also, like you go, oh yeah, we just stuff around and do whatever. But like, there's no doubt, Hardy, you're a pretty bloody good angler.
I was going to say, you can't punch out 25 years of television without having some sort of a clue.
That's it. Like,
I used to think of myself as a great angler, and we actually started, first few episodes was going to be a how-to fishing show. And, we ran through the 3 knots that we knew on the one rig, and it was like, fuck, what are we going to talk about now? So we had to do something to fill the time in, and then that's sort of what you sort of say, like, we just sort of, the chemistry was there, and it just sort of went from there. And then we introduced the project boats too, which I think was a nice difference in the market, which probably, like, when people come up and talk to me about the show, the project boats are very high on their list of things that they remember. So
yeah, juggernaut, huge. And I don't think this is the last we're going to see of you, though. So looking forward to what does come next for Andrew Hart. I'm sure there'll be plenty, and I'm sure you'll be showing your mug all over the joint still, which is good. So looking forward to that, mate. But good stuff. Good. And you, Lee, have transformed yourself from a TV superstar, as you told me to say, into what is now
a YouTube superstar. So well done,
a
mate.
YouTube superstar. So is that right? Is that what I had to say? That's yep.
No,
No, but
I'll wait till we catch up.
there's a lot to unpack. But it's good. It's good to see. I think people are loving, the Fishing Edge brand being back in their face again, and you doing what you do, mate. Must be enjoyable for you to get stuck into it again.
I love it, and I'm lucky. I think we might have spoken about it before. That whole COVID thing, as terrible as it was a proper reset for me because I wasn't enjoying fishing. I wasn't enjoying making television. I really just wasn't enjoying any of that. You and I did a podcast, Luke, and you asked me that.
I remember it.
Did I still like fishing? And I just sat there, and it was a light bulb moment. And I went, no, I don't. And COVID was an awesome reset for me because I wanted to do something different. And then after COVID, it was like I was 16 again. I was frothing on fishing. Like I just couldn't get enough of it. And then I had a great opportunity with the Anaconda crew to start doing stuff again. And it's now rolled into the YouTube. And like I'm loving fishing as much as I did when I was a teenager. Like I literally cannot get enough of it. And I've dived into these rabbit holes. Now I'm just, before I used to go, I'll just use whatever leader and just catch the fish and do whatever. And now I've started to actually try and put my technical brain into it and do a lot of in-depth research for myself to suss things out. And even last week at Lakes Entrance, I learned 4 or 5 things, theories that I had. And I'm just loving that side of it. And YouTube's cool because I can do such good variety.
Yeah.
That's what I'm loving.
It
could be a 15-minute show that's really good.
There's no rules with YouTube. You can do whatever you want. So
I got a bit serious with Hardy, and I'll do the same with you, Lee. I love that you're back somewhere where you can be watched because that's where you're just so great at it. You just touched on something there, though, that I think, and I'm just going to say it, is exactly what sets you apart from pretty much everyone else in the country, is that you are still learning at this point. The fact that you're still willing to learn and wanting to learn, and it's fair to say you're pretty well across the majority of what recreational fishing is in Australia. But the fact that and I know, and just, peek behind the curtains, we speak a fair bit on the phone, and you'll ring me sometimes that excited because you've just learned a new way to get a flathead to bite. And I'm just like, fucking hell, like, you know what I mean? It's what sets you apart. Honestly, I genuinely think that. I think it's awesome, and it's very easy just to go, I'll just go out and soak a bait for a snapper and I'm done. I've got it sorted.
Yeah.
But you're constantly pushing the envelope. I think it's good. I think it's fantastic to see. So keep it up.
I think you've found where you're supposed to be. I think the format in which you're filming at the moment, Lee, and I've been consuming your content like thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people around the country. I feel as though this is where you need to be. You're in complete control. There's no ad breaks. There's no this. There's no that.
Yeah.
It's just, here's going good. I've got some ideas. Let's go make it happen. Rather than having, and Hardy, you can attest to this too. When you're making television, there's no such thing as bust. You can't afford to. You just can't. So whether the fishing's good, bad, or indifferent, or the weather's good, bad, or indifferent, you must make television.
Yep.
So your freedom is this tiny little window. There isn't that much time to experiment. The only time you get to do that in TV is if, you get kissed on the dick and you smash out what you need to in the first half of the first day, and then you've got a day and a half left of this trip to make something cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Ads.
YouTube, I think, suits your fishing personality or the format you're filming. I'm not going to say YouTube because it's not produced like YouTube. Let's just say YouTube television. It's produced like television, but it's for an online platform. It feels more natural to you. And I think, Luke, you and I did talk about our Mount Rushmore of presenters a long time ago in this pod, and your name was thrown around quite a lot, Lee, and rightly so.
Thank you.
But I think this is where this feels natural, a lot more natural to you, for me watching, because you're in complete control.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and mate, I love it. And I tell you what I do love, and Hardy can do it in his show because that's what his show was, that they could do dumb stuff and get away with it. Television, I suppose, you try and make it that bit polished, whereas YouTube, like I'm like with Clark, I'm like, dude, put in my stuff ups. You know, like one of the snapper shows, I dropped 4 big reds in a row, and I'm pulling my hair out, and I'm losing my shit. And I think that's what I enjoy. People get to see the reality of
fishing,
of where it's at.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, which you don't have time to show that necessarily in television because you've got, what is it, 21 and a half minutes?
Yeah, if you're doing a half-hour show. But no, I agree with you. I think
yeah.
it's perfect for you because you just ooze knowledge. You know, when I talk to you and you're not on camera, you know, I'm soaking it up from you. You know, you are the real deal when it comes to fishing. You know, most of us are just frauds, but you know how to catch fish. And YouTube enables you to sort of get as deep or as, you know, glossy over as you want. You know, I think it's a great format for you. There's no rules. That's what I really like about it. There's no rules.
Yeah,
so you can do whatever. And if it's working, you just let it roll. And if it doesn't, you move on to something else.
Yeah. And you know what I think I love? I can do stuff on my own. And some of the cool stuff I've got is when I'm like, I'll say to the girls, you're staying at your auntie's house for the next 3 nights. I'm going up the coast and I've got the rooftop tent, I got the boat, and I just go.
Yeah.
And if I don't catch a fish for 24 hours, I don't care because I haven't got a cameraman over my shoulder, and I'll work it out. And I've actually got a few cool things by doing that because I can go left field and go and chase unicorns and hope for the best.
Yeah. But it looks good too, and it looks polished because you're from that
right.
background and you know how to put it together. You know, it's not easy because, you know, any Muppet can make a YouTube segment or a YouTube channel.
We've seen all the chest cam, you know, shaky.
Rubbish. Yeah, but that production value is still important.
Yeah, and that's also why I've still got an editor. Well, that's why I don't do it.
Yeah.
Because if I do it, it'd be terrible. Let's be honest.
At least you're honest.
To be shocking.
So I think ultimately it's just brilliant to see you blokes doing what you're doing. And like I said to you, Hardy, it might be the end of Hook, Line and Sinker TV as we know it, but I'm sure that there's going to be something in the not too distant future which will be just as awesome. So, but that's enough of talking you guys up.
Thank you.
Let's change it. No, I'm joking. I do want to throw to you though, because again, you know, with the amount of fishing you both do, I'm keen to hear a bit about how 2024 has been for you guys, and if there's been any highlights that. And I know there's already been a couple of big flathead, but surely there's been a few highlights throughout the year, and I'd like to just throw to you and maybe Hardy, have you had any memorable captures this year that really, really, you know, felt good?
Yeah, there was a bloody big cuttlefish caught in Western Port Bay in I think it was winter time by some bloody knob. I can't remember who. But,
you know, we're talking about those pretenders before. One of those guys. Definitely not one of the polished guys doing stuff. That's for sure.
I think they're still cleaning the squid and how do they other guys don't.
That was fantastic.
That's going to thought Lee was sour on Hardy before. He's still sour on that squid, mate.
You can only do so much to him. That's going to be an episode of Hook, Line and Sinker about in January sometime. I'm about to shortlist it and it will get edited. It's a bloody mess to shortlist. Like, there's so much. So for anyone that doesn't know, we all went fishing, Western Port Bay. I think it was winter, wasn't it?
It was
freezing.
There wasn't much to do, but we caught squid. Lee, you guided us, and we smacked the calamari. And then, at the end... we kept all the calamari. What happened?
They kept him in a live well, so they were primed by the time we got back to the ramp.
I don't we took them all out to get a photo of them, and they all just dropped their ink all over Lee's lovely boat.
Well, I'll just in Lee's defence, and I know that you're about your gun's cocked, you're ready to fire, Lee. You guys, Adam and Harty,
you wouldn't have
stood on the deck of the boat with these squid completely erupting ink everywhere. Didn't think to move them sort of off the boat or over the side.
Every time we moved them, there was more ink. We were just trying to play
you were
a strategic
laughing too hard at it. I've got it on video. You were laughing too hard. You just...
Lee's still got the video, and he showed someone recently. He's still burnt about it.
He wasn't happy. Do you want me to come and help you clean the boat, Lee?
No, I'll be fine.
It's all good.
That was a highlight. But no, for me, the other highlight, and I don't want to sound like a wanker here because it's a pretty special thing, but I've had 2 trips back to Cairns this year doing heavy tackle black marlin fishing, and I love it, and it's really reaffirmed that I love that fishing up there. I love everything that goes with it, not just the marlins, but the reef and the catching the bait and the drinking the beer and the big flash boats. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but if you ever get the chance to do it, it's absolutely brilliant.
Can I ask? I don't know if it's giving anything away from TV, but was there a large black marlin caught on those two trips during the year?
There was. So a kid caught one that was, and that was really good. So he was a 12 or 13. The son of the owner's brother of this boat, and look, it was a big fish. It was probably 900 pounds, and it performed magnificently. It ate a whole yellowfin tuna that we'd caught just moments before, and it was great for us because we filmed it really well. So we filmed it absolutely perfectly. I flew the drone. We had old Neshy, who's done 3,000 hook line sinkers. He sort of came out of retirement for it. He put his beer down and didn't miss a shot. And then we had, I think 2 or 3 GoPros rolling as well. And it was epic. Like it was truly one of the epic, great captures to be involved in. Yeah. And there were grown men bawling their eyes out when we landed that fish. And a bond that you can only sort of get from an experience like that. Look, it was good. And then we caught a few other rats. Went up with Bella, my wife, and a few friends a few weeks ago, and we got some rats. Dropped another nice one, unfortunately. But they just had a great season up there, like a cracking year, which reminded everyone why it's still, world class. It really is world class. I think, when I grew up watching Malcolm Florence and always dreaming of going up there to Cairns one day and catching these giant black marlin, and there were movie stars and whatever else going and doing it. And I think over the past decade or more, it's died off a bit.
Is it fair to say I've only been to Cairns fishing once recently, and spending some time? We didn't do the marlin. I think it was a filming trip for with some NRL players, but talking to some of the the game boat owners and skippers up there over a beer one night, it's a really special thing, isn't it? It's not just a thing they go and do. Like there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of emotion involved, and it's a really family sort of oriented thing. If you're up there, it goes through generations, and it's more than just a day out fishing, isn't it?
I think something in your blood, like you talk to like Timmy Dean and guys like that. That is their world. Like they live for October, November. Like you speak to Timmy in August, and he is like a cat on a hot tin roof. He cannot wait to drive his boat 3,000 kilometres up the coast to do the heavy tackle season and go toe to toe with the biggest black marlin on earth. And it's addictive. Like you said, Hardy, it's not just the fish. It's being on the reef. It's waking up on the reef and throwing a popper or spearing a trout or just sitting there going, how bloody good is this?
Yeah. It is.
It's
a special spot, and those boys are flogging themselves. Like they're doing 100 days at sea. I know they're big flash boats, but they've got 6 or 8 guys on them, so they're probably usually the captains are sleeping in the fly bridge, on the floor, and they're doing 100 days straight. But they do it, and they do it just for that bite. And we've got to remember, even on a poor year, there's more big marlin caught in Cairns than the rest of the world combined. So that's even on a pretty poor year. So it's a very special fishery. Like, there might only be 4 or 5 grand of marlin caught the rest of the world all year. And
so what on average would they be catching in a season out of Cairns?
I couldn't tell you, but I mean, this year there was a lot. Like there was
There was a lot.
There was a lot. And they're pretty conservative with their calls. Like they don't call many fish over 1,000 pounds unless they're like 1,200 pounds. And they call a lot of fish 950 pounds. So, but anything over 700 is just a big thing, big monster.
I can't even fathom sort of seeing that sort of a size fish. Like seeing the one that you're talking about that the young fella caught, Hardy, in the flesh must have been pretty special.
Super cool, really, really cool. And it stayed up the top the whole time. It was a perfect fish. It took about half an hour, 40 minutes, but it jumped and it ran and it just perfect, really. And awesome. It was still green as when we let it go. I mean, that's the other thing. To actually land one of these things would be a whole nother experience again, which they don't generally do. But, a few get taken every year, but to just grab the leader and let it go, a lot easier than getting close to it and hitting it.
Yes.
I don't know. Have you ever killed a big one, Lee?
Nah, mate. No.
Not that he's willing to talk about on the show, anyway.
No, I've never. I've. You know what? I've never personally killed one of my marlin, like even a stripe or anything. And I have no qualms about people doing it. When I was younger, I was like, oh, you can't kill the marlin. But now I'm like, whack a 80-kilo striped marlin because he's 4 years old. There's stacks of them. Rather that than go and whack a 100-kilo bluefin that's 25.
Yeah,
100%.
That doesn't freeze any good. So, but no, I've never personally just. I've put gaffs into plenty for other people, but I've never killed one of my own.
Okay.
No, it'd be something to see. One of those big ones. I'm not saying I'd do it, but it would be a whole nother level again. Those crews trying to get one on board would be because they are green. They're green. They're all circle hooks these days, and that it's a very conservation-minded fishery, and the idea is to get close to them quickly and then cut them off so they swim away. And there's plenty of evidence to suggest that they survive through satellite tagging and whatever else. But no, look, it's a remarkable place, and it's not just the fishing; it's the ribbon reefs and the diving and the just the whole thing. So it's nice.
I think it's also, Hardy. What do you reckon? It's part of like you said, you grew up watching Malcolm Florence, and I did too. And when you get there and you see it, you're like, I'm actually doing this shit that I have seen when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old as a kid, and you've dreamt of it your whole life. And when you get there, it looks just as good as it did in their videos years ago.
Yeah, it does.
So it's a pretty special sort of thing to see.
And you're still doing what they were doing in the videos years ago. You've still got big gold Penn International 130s, which haven't really changed, big broomsticks of rods, and you're still trolling around 20-pound yellowfin, as bait.
Yep.
So the fishery is the same as it's been since the 60s, that big bait fishery. It's pretty unique and
I'd be pumped catching the bait.
I was about to say that. Ads, if we ever go do that, Adam, you've got to tone it down when you land the yellowfin. I'll be
the bait bitch for sure.
No, it's something to see. It's something to see when a fish eats another fish that size. It's really, really cool. So that's been the highlight for me this year.
Yeah, nice. Lee, what about you?
I've had probably more just personal milestones this year. I don't think I've caught anything outstanding.
I'll give yourself some credit. You caught the second biggest flathead on this panel tonight, so that's pretty good.
89's not a bad fish.
For a beginner. No, I think my highlights have just been working stuff out. Like I had a 2-day session at Lakes in March, and I got 14 fish between 79 and 89 centimetres. I too, what I have enjoyed, and it's been good. I've had this theory for a while with snapper on plastics that they don't like a twitch lure. And then I started live scoping them and watching how they react. And I can tell you now they don't like a twitch lure. And I have
that fucking information would have been handy 4 snapper diaries ago, and I've been twitching lures around like a 100%. Dickhead for the last 3 months trying to catch something decent.
100%. And the last 4 weeks, but especially the last 3 weeks, I have been whacking the reds on plastics to the point where I'll even put bait rods out, and I'm catching more big fish on plastics than I am on bait, and I'm literally slow rolling. I'm slow rolling plastics, and these big fish are just bumping it and knocking it, and if you strike, they turn away. You just keep winding, and then you pause, and you keep winding, and the rod just loads up. It's like a perch bite, not a snapper bite.
That's awesome.
Like I went out yesterday with a guy, and I got 6 on plastics using my technique, and he got none. Not one. So
that's so interesting because we've been catching snapper on plastics the same way for 20 years, and we're doing.
And you still catch them, Abs. You still catch them with a twitch.
Yeah.
But the way I'm doing it, I'm not getting pinkies as much because that you're not giving them a chance to eat it because you just keep pulling. You're not ripping that away from them. You just keep pulling it away from them. But then, and I just 80% of what I'm catching is snapper.
That's awesome.
Like I'm talking.
So what sort of lures?
Fish. just soft plastics, Hardy. Just like even as a 5-inch jerk shad, I'm just slow rolling it on a micro jig head and just slowly dragging it through the water. And I've had fish to like 85 centimetres in the last couple of
And
weeks.
what sort of depth?
Anywhere from 12 to 16, 18 metres.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't matter.
All even numbers.
You know, even I got.
You don't catch fish in odd numbers.
We were talking about the other day that when people talk about snapper fishing, where they're fishing in the depth, it's never an odd number.
No,
It's either 12, 14, 16 or 18 metres of water.
There's never fish going in like 13 metres of water off the Carrum.
It's weird.
17.3 metres.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been cool, guys. But yeah, it's just for me, it's been a year of probably, I suppose, for me, head down, working on theories and things. I think, and taking note of a lot of things. Probably just trying to become a better fisherman. That's been my goal for the last year, and taking note of shit. Like even the other day, I was getting these reds and I was getting bitten off by them, and even getting bitten off by them near the boat and stuff. And I was fishing 12-pound leader, and I blew one at the boat. He would have been like a 7-kilo fish, and I didn't really care because I'm letting them go. And then I'm like, nah, bugger this. I'll go to 15-pound leader, but I'll only do it on one rod because I'm fishing 2 plastics at a time because they sink so slow. The 15-pound leader was getting about 20% of the bites compared to the 12-pound leader. Like just little things like that, I suppose. Whereas in the past, I wouldn't have cared. I probably would have gone, that's it, 20-pound on everything. Yeah. And then you go, the fish aren't biting. But yeah, it's been that for me. Just I suppose that sort of stuff.
It's bloody cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I mean, a fish that's been so popular in Victoria, well, a lot of places, but Victoria for a million years, and finding new ways and techniques sort of goes back to what I was saying before. But I think that's really cool. And once people start getting a bit of that into their repertoire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's super light jig heads too. Like I'm talking a 1/8 or a 1/6 jig head in not 15 metres, 15.3 metres. Yeah. That's usually the depth.
That's bullshit.
But a 1/6 to a 1/8 jig head, you go to a 1/4 ounce jig head and you just stop catching.
The other great thing about that is that you don't have to worry about bait.
I was about to say at the end of it, I wind my rods in, I put them in the holder, and I drive in.
Because
and I'm done.
Bait's messy. I know you don't like getting your boat messy, Lee. But it is. Snapper fishing's a dirty bloody game. You get guts and scales and blood. And,
it's gross.
It looks like a massacre when you finish. So if you're just using plastics, that's bloody fantastic.
On top of the squid ink that you guys destroyed Lee's boat with, I did, was it, I don't know if it was early this year, Lee, or last year, I did leave a live bait in your tuna tubes, which you found the next day.
Rough.
I didn't mean it. It was a nice fat
slimy.
Next day's not bad. I mean, if it had been my boat, it would have been like 8 weeks later, probably. Maggots crawling out of it. It's never very good.
Fossilised in the tube.
Look, I have had the odd slimy mackerel that has been left in the tube over the years, and you've discovered it's there when you're watching maggots crawl out of those tubes.
Well, that's fine if you're going trout fishing the next week.
Early. Oh, look, it's fine. Because next trip you go out, when you need bait, you just turn the tubes on and it just pumps maggots out. And it
aren't they called gents?
Sort of like rice exploding.
I think they're called gents.
They're what?
They're called gents. You can use them in coarse fishing. I think they you use them under a float.
Yeah.
So. Catch garfish on them. What about you two? What about you two deep drop boys? You got to give us your highlights.
We've got lots of highlights, but that's all we've got time for. So,
that's right.
No, we do. I mean, we've got, and ads. I haven't. In typical deep drop fashion, we put no preparation into this other than shooting a message out to you guys to say, hey, can you jump on the finale episode? But I reckon, certainly spending a day with the four of us filming Hook, Line, and Sinker was a highlight for the deep drop. But I think there's been a few. We've had a new character on the show that's popped his head in from time to time. Not sure if you've heard it, but management has been involved, which I think's great. I think it's good. I've enjoyed having management around. Adam, you not so much.
No, management can fuck right off because he doesn't seem to remember my name or know that I generally exist.
Yeah.
So it was a highlight. Him ending up, in a not
locked
so
up.
good place.
Yeah, that was a bit rough way to end. I've really enjoyed some of the guests that we've had on this year, Adam. We've had people like ET and Kate Norman, Aaron Habgood, Curtis Waterman from Halco, so that was fun. Who have I forgotten? Alan Benici was on the show, I think. Obviously, the two of you clowns have been on numerous times. Lee, we cold called you one night just on the show, which was fun.
Yep. I was actually in the same spot.
That was fun. I think one of
What was some bullshit question too? Was some ridiculous?
It's Harry
even
Rowley.
remember.
Come on.
Yeah, I can't even remember.
Well, it wouldn't have been a good question.
No. And you wouldn't have answered it probably.
No.
I think and I reckon you probably attest to this too, Ads, is the listener interaction, the audience feedback and interaction we've had this year has been stronger than ever. And it's not just, we've got some listeners and they, give a thumbs up on a social post. We will get, and without, it's still a modest audience and it is growing. But the amount of messages and voice messages and things that we get most days on Instagram, for example, it just, I don't know, for me, it's really cool. It's really cool to get that. And it's not just, hey, you should do this or something. It's like they'll be talking about stuff that we've spoken about, which we've completely unrehearsed, and it's just come up and we just go on it. And then these people will jump on and give us their feedback, and it's genuine and it's honest. They'll suggest things, or I went and tried this that you were talking about the other day, and here's the results. And it's not always a win, but that's what it's about. That's what we're about, is just having a crack. And I think you mentioned trying new stuff and challenging yourself, Lee. I love that, because we often just talk. We have lots of fun. There's no doubt. We talk a lot of rubbish and have fun and laugh our asses off a lot. But we also talk about fishing, which is what we love. And there's the fact that there's no right or wrong and there's no rules. You go out and try something. If you feel like chucking spinner baits around for a weekend for snapper, do it. See if they bite,
I spent 2 sessions trying to catch snapper on ice jigs.
Ice jigs, yeah, exactly. Exactly that.
And, who would have thought it doesn't really fucking work? But it's, you don't know these things unless you try.
No, correction. Didn't work for you at the time, Adam. It still might work for
But then
someone.
again, I couldn't catch a decent one on a plastic either.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to slow roll the bloody thing. Yeah.
Slow roll the ice jig.
Yeah.
But I do, and I mean that sincerely. And we thank our friends out there listening every single week. But it's a genuine appreciation. I think it's awesome. We love it. Adam and I have always said that we'll do this until we're sort of not enjoying it all that much. And I can honestly say that the enjoyment levels are getting higher because it's just so much fun. And we don't feel like it's just Adam and I talking. We feel like we're talking with people every week. So it's cool. So that's been a massive highlight for me.
What about you, Ad? It's been an interesting year. I've probably found, in a little bit of a similar but different way to you, Lee, I've found the enjoyment in trying to work out if some of the complete horseshit that we're talking on this show is a thing or not. So I've been fishing.
And how's that gone for you, Ads?
Terrible. I've gone back to the old ways. I was catching the odd fish then, but it has been fun theory crafting an idea on this show, as ridiculous as it may seem. And I'm still confident at some stage we'll say something that's half intelligent and it'll be a win.
I hope I get to be there for that.
Haven't got there yet. But it's been fun.
It's been fun talking about. Hey, and also I've enjoyed this, Ads.
Oh, the merch.
Yeah. Hey, the website launch. We've got caps and stubby holders on there. That's been good.
Good.
Seeing the brand getting repped around the place. Yeah. From a fishing perspective, I did something this year that I don't think I'll ever forget, which was fish the Abrolhos Islands in WA.
Oh.
No, still didn't catch anything, Lee. Just went there.
Took some shit hot photos, though.
That was, just other people's fish. That was one of the most incredible places I've ever seen in my life. It was the most unique, probably the most unique place I've ever fished in my life, as far as the terrain, where you were and what you were doing. A week out in a boat, which was a very not a typical liverboard that you might do on the east coast of Australia. It was very much anchored in the shallow sort of keys of these coral atolls and stuff like that, which was I don't know, it was really bizarre. I think you've done it, haven't you, Hardy, out the Abrolhos?
No, mate, I haven't. I'd love to. That's probably the one regret I'm going to have finishing hook line, and that's not exploring more of the West. I've always been too scared of it because it's so bloody big. But every time I went over there, it's amazing, and the Abrolhos was certainly on the list to go and do. But yeah, it looks incredible, and the species that you catch there is just so diverse, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's that sort of similar actually in a lot of ways to where that Port Macquarie mid north coast is. You get the southern species out, so we're sort of talking like Geraldton out is where you get those southern species mixed in with the northern species. Like we're catching snapper as we know it, and the very next drop a coral trout. Yeah, so it's kind of like it messes with your head a little bit.
Cool. Yeah. That's cool.
But it's good. This the crays are gin clear water all through this whole area. It's kind of cool too because you do know that 3/4 of the year it's pretty much you can't even get out there because of the weather. So it's kind of special when you do get a window like that. From all accounts, we were pretty lucky with that weather. But man, I'd love to do it again. We should do it. The deep drop trip, the 4 of us. Let's go.
Next year's Christmas party.
Yeah.
How far's the slog out there? How far out?
Just get Ben Patrick to organise it all.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, Curtis has been on the show. He listens. Kurt, if you're listening now, start making that happen for us, and we'll be there.
Fill the fuel tanks.
It's it's only like a couple of hours sort of shoot out from Geraldton.
Yeah.
It was a fucking shit trip out when we went, but but like Perth to Geraldton's kind of what's that, 5 hours or something like that. It's just a long way from this side of the country to get there. That day was just a monstrous day. It was an early morning flight out of Melbourne, Perth, massive drive to Geraldton, a couple of hours steam out, and it's just that first night you just rat shit. But anyway, well worth it. But that was certainly a fishing.
Come on.
Hey?
You sound like a pussy.
Yeah. No, I'm very much appreciative of that particular trip, but and there's some cool local fish. Ads, you and I was just speaking about how often we go and referencing the local fisheries down here that we do almost regularly, but they're changing all the time. Like something as simple as a King George whiting.
Well, I caught my first ever King George whiting on soft plastics this year, and it is one of the most interesting fishing trips I've ever had in my life because it was massively successful. We caught truckloads. Luke, you, myself, John Didge, smacked the hell out of them. They were the vast majority of them were big. Like I can confidently say I caught a King George whiting over 40 centimeters on a soft plastic. But what made it so weird to me, I feel as though I know less about it than what I did before I went. It was the weirdest trip. And what I mean by that is I caught endless whiting and I reckon I felt 2 bites. It's just a trip that's made me go, I think I probably got more lucky than I did any sort of learning of what was going on. And all it's done has made me think about it nonstop that I have to go again and try and work out what actually happened. Because when it went, we caught all these fish. I couldn't identify a bite. I just go to lift a plastic and all of a sudden there's a whiting on there. I'm dropping that whiting 6 times before it actually eats it properly and I get it to the boat. Probably dropped 3 times as many fish as I actually caught. And the whole time I'm thinking, what's actually happening? Because the fishing was sensational. I couldn't stick a hook. I couldn't work out necessarily what was happening. Towards the end, there was a clear pattern on where the fish actually were. So that was a little piece of the puzzle. But to go and actually try and angle them, I've got to work it out because it did my head in. It's not often you get a trip that's been so successful, but you're left walking away going, I don't know what happened. It was so good. Confusing.
I was stoked to do that with you, but I also did that with you, Lee, for your first experience of King George whiting on soft plastics, which was a highlight for me to take someone so esteemed as yourself onto something that you hadn't done before.
Well, I'm keen. I'm interested. What were your thoughts on it, Lee? After you'd pulled the boat in that day and had a crack and caught a few, what were your thoughts on it?
I just went straight down a rabbit hole, didn't I, Luke? I'm like, right, so if I start making these rigs, but the immediate thing I took out of it is I think our rods are too stiff. Like when I'm going back, I'm taking some of those like new RTSs in the 1 to 3 kilo, super soft, so you just wind them on. And I even want to try fishing straight through 4-pound fluorocarbon.
Yeah, interesting.
Because you'll literally, because it's that shitty bite they give you where they're sucking at it, and I reckon something more stretchy and a soft rod. It's like when you're rolling cranks for brim on 3-pound. You don't strike. You just keep winding, and you feel this little bump, and then all of a sudden the rod's bending, and you're like, oh, I've got him on.
Yeah.
And I reckon going to a really soft rod with these whiting could change the whole game. But yeah, after I went with Luke, I'm like, right, that's it. I'm thinking we do this.
It was
I
hilarious.
still refuse to believe, and I still refuse to believe a turtleback worm's the only thing you can catch the fucking things on.
Well, see, I've come up with a different rig too. I've come up with a different rig rather than a jig head.
See, this is what I like.
It is definitely a rabbit hole. There was a phone call a day for a week with, Luke, so if we do this, like we should... I loved it. Do you do that down in Tassie? Hardy, you've got probably the biggest King George whiting in the world.
Well, I was just going
in
to
Tasmania.
Yeah, they fish 7-inch jerk shads.
You got a big one.
They skip bait yellowfin.
I got a whiting last Tuesday. I went snapper fishing out off Bridport on the north-east coast here, and we got some snappers and we got some gummy sharks, and then we tried quickly for a whiting. I got a 58 centimetre one, which is just like normal. Like, no shit, they're like 50 to 60s. There.
Have you tried soft plastics or any form of lure?
You could. It's sort of sand hulls, so there's a lot of wrasse and leather jacket and things like that. So it would be a challenge. Like where you're catching the whiting out of is not a massive big flat or anything like that. So no, look, I will. I'll take it under advisement and try and catch a whiting of 55 plus.
Hardy, they're catching them on jigs down there too, aren't they? I've heard guys getting them in deeper water on metal.
So what they do,
just
whenever they finish, like around about, I think for winter they go out deeper, so they're like in 40 metres out in the Bass Strait, and they're dropping down those like Vex bloody jigs and whatever else in like 40 metres and catching those 50, 60 centimetre whiting, and quite a few of them. So, and that's just something new, like that people have cottoned onto.
Yeah.
Because they're not in the shallows anymore. So, where are they? They go out deep and sort of 40 metres of water in Bass Strait. I don't know what they're doing, either spawning or whatever.
So, when you caught fish the other day, when you say shallows, what's shallows for you guys for whiting?
So, that's probably a bit deeper than normal that I normally fish, probably about 6 metres. That fish was in about 6 metres. But shallows for me, like in the mouth of the Tamar where I fish for them, is like under 2. And that's where you could do it.
Perfect,
definitely you do it. There's not the numbers of big fish there, but there's a few. But yeah, it's that sort of north coast offshore is where the really big ones are for now. I don't know whether they'll all get caught or whatever, but they're pretty special.
The mentality of dropping a jig in 40 metres with the expectation to catch a King George whiting just seems all wrong.
It's a bit shit. And even catching snapper out of 40 metres out, there's a bit shit, I reckon. Like, I think it's just sort of, you're just dredging them up. Whereas, like, we were sort of getting our snappers in sort of 10, 12 metres, which was nice. And
not 11.
Hardy, it looks like that snapper fishery is really going from strength to strength for you guys. Like, big time.
Yeah.
From what it was 5 years ago.
Well, what it was, so I grew up doing it in the Tamar River in the 90s. So I caught my first snapper in there in 1996, and we caught some big ones, but like you'd have to put like 100 hours of fishing sort of thing. Like, there were heaps, but we got fish like well over 25 pounds. Not many of them left. I don't know whether we caught all the big ones, but now there's just numbers of fish. Like there are just. We could go snapper fishing tomorrow and catch snapper, whereas back then you couldn't do that. And certainly, there's some guys that are switched on to it. So my cousin switched on, and he catches.
Your cousin's the best snapper fisherman in Tassie, and he uses mono all the way through.
He does. He uses mono all the way through, and Abu Garcia reels an ugly stick rod.
Yeah, there you go. The ambassadors or whatever.
And he won't change, and he catches more big snapper than more big snapper than anyone in Tassie's ever caught. And when he's going, he'd be on par with the best snapper fisherman for big snapper in Australia, particularly now that South Australia's offline. He's getting 7, 8, 9 kilo fish every season, and he's got it pretty well wired.
Lee's already texting him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I went with him last week. It was good. He took me to his good spot actually, so I know where that is now.
Well, like this.
Maybe swear not to tell anyone. But
I've known him longer.
He just puts them on the water and knows sort of when they're going to be there. But it is
really cool.
The snapper, the King George whiting, like they were never there when I grew up. Like I never caught a King George whiting when I grew up. And now they're breeding there, and I don't think they go away anymore.
And your kings as well, Hardy.
Kings are already here, and they're getting earlier and earlier every year, and pushing further and further south. And I believe they'll get bigger and bigger. Like last year, I think a few sort of metre 10, metre 20 fish were turning up, and I think that's just going to be more and more. I mean, the tunas are just
it's almost like it was the same here, Hardy. The Kings, there was 0 Kings for years and years and years, and then there was a school here and a school there, and then the next year there was a few more, and it just keeps going, and eventually you've got Kings everywhere.
I remember you saying that, and that's what's happening, and each year bigger and bigger ones are turning up, and whether they're the same school or whatever, but no, there's heaps now.
Which makes sense that it's just kicking off, because typically Tasmania is a bit slower than the mainland to really launch into things. So.
Yeah. No, spring's the worst time because you're looking, everyone's like getting warm weather and catching heaps of fish, and we're still cold and it's snow and there's nothing to catch. But it is getting earlier and earlier, it would seem, or later and later, I don't know. But we've just had one of the most unbelievable runs of bluefin, which is still going on.
I was going to bring this up. Some of the stuff I've seen coming out.
It's like I haven't gone down there yet. I've thought about it twice, but but like it's like every day boats are just getting these fish out of Eagle Hook Neck, and it's like they've just planted themselves there, and there's heaps of them, and they're between sort of 80 and 130 kilos, and it's just nuts. Like it's a couple of years ago we got them at this time of year too, with the whales as they came back through, but it's not been like this. This is just next level crazy, like.
Like you hear like guys getting 27 bites in 4 days and catching 18.
Yeah,
that's
crazy numbers.
Guys going down there after work and catching, a couple of 100-kilo fish. Then, and the seals haven't been too bad, thankfully, because that's what does stuff Eagle Hook Neck. The seals, they've trained.
Do you know what I love about like fishing like that though? The thing I hate about fishing is when something comes good. And I'm going to put it out there, Victorians are bad for it in general. Something's good, so everyone goes, fuck yeah, let's go kill them all.
We've covered this, haven't we?
Right. But when fishing gets ridiculously good, it drives people past that kill mentality. And then guys are so happy they've caught so many tuna that I think the flow on from that from the next few years is they start to go, I don't need to kill all these fish because I've caught heaps of them.
Yeah.
But and I think that's the bonus to when you get great fishing. But when fishing's good, it's just a slaughter.
Yeah, I hate seeing 2 or 3 big bluefin on the deck. It's just ridiculous. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why do you even want one? I mean, I can get it. I get it. Like, I've killed big bluefin, but it's just too much, mate. It's just too much. And then 2, don't kill 2. What are you going to do with it? You can't give it away.
Like shit when it's been frozen. Yeah.
It's just it's too much. Like,
did you say it tastes like a warm shit?
Not that I shouldn't say that because I've never eaten shit.
No, they're Tassie fish, mate. It'd be cold.
It tastes like a warm, creamy shit.
Adding creamy to it doesn't improve it, Hardy. Adam and I talk a lot about optics, and Victoria optically is not a great place. We're the kill shot capital, and whether or not we're any worse than anyone else is a different story. But optically, it looks like we're killing everything, and that's just purely my and our view on it and opinion. But anyway, as long as it's all legal, I suppose there's nothing really technically wrong with it. But it's just about, to your point, Hardy, one's too much.
What you just said, it's the optics. It's not good, and it's giving the other side, if there is another side, ammunition.
Yeah.
And people should just be careful. Instead of boasting and bragging, they should just be a little bit careful because, that tuna fishery we've had down here now for the last month, you could go back through social media and dredge up some pretty compelling shots as to why these endangered species probably should be protected. while they're being, while we're interacting with endangered seals. Even though it's all bullshit, we know it is, but you're giving the other side plenty of ammunition, so you just want to be a bit careful.
Yeah, endangered seals isn't the worst thing. I'd like to think these bluefin are getting so big that they're starting to eat the seals.
That would be good.
That would be the best situation.
Oh, bloody seals!
How would you go about using a seal for a live bait, though? You might.
That's right.
Are you getting many of the school, we'll call them school fish, but small run of bluefin in Tassie, Hardy?
Well, not at this time of year. Not at the moment, no.
Because, Lee, you're across tuna more than anyone. Well, shouldn't we be seeing them now, like in Victoria?
Oh, we're on the verge of it, mate. It's any time. There's been rumours of the odd school out off the Shank and places, but it's generally about January sometime they rock up and they do that stupid thing where they surround on the surface in football fields for about a month.
Yep.
And you can throw everything at them for days and days and you might get one. And then in February they just go, oh, that's right, we need to eat. And it all just switches on. But then, Hardy, you saw it. Like, we didn't get our autumn-winter bluefin run this year. Like, they just legged it. They did a bluefin thing and they just went, nah, this year we're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, who knows? But by rights, you would expect the bluefin schoolies to start to turn up here in the next few weeks.
They just turn up here anywhere now, and anywhere and everywhere, and it's just not surprising. So you almost, if you want to catch tuna, no matter where you are, what coast you're at, you should just have a couple of rods in the front of your boat because it's just not surprising to see them turn up kind of anywhere at any time. Like I reckon they've been caught now every month of the year, no doubt. Schoolies and big ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just a fishery that's going from strength to strength for whatever reason.
So good. Yeah. So good.
Well, Luke, now that seeing as though we're on the topic of the best of the best, like the absolute trophy fish, you sent me an article only this afternoon from a local publication down your way.
This is fucking gold.
And I think it needs to be shared because I found it a little bit amusing in the best possible way.
This is hilarious.
Give us the details.
All right, so I've got to get through it without laughing. I don't know why I'm laughing so much. Lee, I don't know if you've heard about this. So this was in the Colac Herald today, I believe, or Monday in the and the headline was Carp Plague for starters, and we're like, oh yeah, whatever, carp, pains in the ass, whatever. Then the subheading was Fish Damage Boats, Lake Reputation at Colac Regatta. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
Huh?
Now, I'll kind of just, I guess, break through a little bit. I won't read it all. But effectively, after a plague of carp ripped damage through multiple A-class boats while sailing on the lake, the Colac Yacht Club won't be able to host the state championships next year. Like,
what?
Hang on a minute.
Well, are they sucking holes into through the hull of the boat or something?
The damage occurred on Saturday with one A-class hitting about 50 carp. The damage ripped through the centerboard and rudders of the yachts, with one yacht sinking and having to be pulled from the water. This is the bit that I was. This is why I sent it to you, Adam, straight away. Yachties estimated the carp, which can't be seen from above water, were about 1 metre in length and about 30 centimetres wide, weighing about 20 to 30 kilograms.
Jesus!
It's like hitting a log, A-class sailor Richard Howell said. You could break a leg. So, 20 to 30 kilogram carp, are they even a thing?
They are now. Metre long, 30 centimetres across the back. Like,
I'm going to that lake. That's
Yeah, but that just confirms my theory.
Yeah.
Right. So
about yachties.
That Whiffies, right, which is a wind-assisted fucking idiot, right? Right. If you had a real boat with a motor, you just chop them up and you keep going.
Well, the first question I thought is, are they super carp or are they shit yachts? Because what's going on?
Yeah. They were paper boats. They didn't put that in the article.
Were these remote controlled A-class yachts, or were they real ones?
So many questions. Unbelievable. I don't even know where to start with that article.
Well, we found the venue for Carpathon 2025, I think. We're all going to have to take 50 wides and 24 kilo outfits, but
absolutely. I mean, you're talking about 120 kilo bluefin tuna in fairly big numbers, Hardy. They're not damaging a boat, but a carp is sinking a yacht.
Absolutely crazy. You need to get that bloke from River Monsters down here to
that's right.
get to the bottom of it.
Definitely.
Spend a month there just fishing with his gents. Trying to
in fear of breaking a leg on one of the log-sized carp that are coming by.
Is he the one who's constantly dropping sexual innuendos throughout his series without talking about fish?
I think you get what you take out of it. Like,
oh, is that what it is? Okay. Oh, wow. But anyway, I don't know. What would be a record carp? 20 to 30 kilo. Let's get down there, boys.
crazy.
Fucking hell, sinking a boat.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, is that a reaction to them fucking up? Because they don't like to, they're not the sort of group of people that like to admit they've done anything wrong, messed up. Did they just hit a bunch of trees?
Yeah, that's right.
And their immediate reaction was, well, it's got to be the fucking carp.
Yeah.
We couldn't see them, but we know that he said they couldn't see them, but they knew they were a metre long and 20 to 30 kilos.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
No, not quite right. So that's a location for your next filming trip, Lee. Speaking of locations, though,
you'd need big corn though for both, wouldn't you?
True.
Whole mangoes, mate.
The full cob.
The full cob.
The full cob. In fact, you use the whole fucking plant.
Yeah, that's right. Leaves and all.
Well, the full cob, and then you can sort of have the husk still attached, so it acts as a bit of a skirt trailer behind it.
I'd just set line a sheep.
Yeah.
on a stringer line or a springer line.
Kick it proper old.
Just a lamb, like a live lamb, and just sort of let it flap about.
I'd just send out a yacht with some hooks on the bottom.
I was going to say that wouldn't be allowed, Hardy. Your yacht would hit it.
Yeah.
That's the next article. Yacht sinks due to lamb flailing about in the shallows. Far out. But a location like that is impressive. But we've touched on a few spots throughout so far throughout the night. But did you guys hit any new locations that blew your mind this year, or some that you revisited that you hadn't been to for a while that you sort of thought, yeah, this is a special part of the world? Obviously, you spoke about Cairns, Hardy, but was there anywhere else that you sort of dropped a line and thought this is pretty nice?
I really liked, and I know we've spoken about it, but Port Macquarie was great. I haven't done a lot of time there. I've fished Coffs Harbour a lot, and sort of Sydney a fair bit, but in between I haven't done a hell of a lot, and I really liked that town. I really like the waterways and the climate, and obviously the 98 centimetre flathead.
Shut up.
It is a beautiful part of the world. I've got a bit of a soft spot for that town. A lot of my family are there, and a beautiful river, and some really nice offshore fishing too.
Yeah. 100%. I've driven around it for years, fished every bit north and south of it, but never been to Port Macquarie, and just went there and went, how long has this joint been going on for?
Bloody good.
And I didn't, and again, you drive past it a million times going up and down the coast, but you don't realise you're an hour from Southwest Rock.
Yeah.
You're 2 hours from Port Stephens. It is just the most central place to catch everything. How many big mulloway did you get when you were there, Hardy?
We didn't try. We would have got some if we tried. we were too drunk after catching the 98 centimetre flathead to over.
Yeah, fair call.
But it's you kind of don't go through it though. It's obviously off the highway, so you don't really. It's one of those places that you unless you intentionally go there.
But Southwest Rock is good. So I haven't been there for years. But when we used to fish that, we always had good trips. Like it's bloody nice. It's a bloody nice.
Southwest Rocks is one I've never fished that I've always. Again, you spoke about watching stuff when you were younger, watching Bushy and Starlo and Rex fish Southwest Rocks, that fish rock, and just I've got to do it. But that whole stretch from Newcastle up is just it's so fishy. It's so much water to fish.
It doesn't matter what the weather's doing. Outside of it flooding, you can go, oh, it's hot. I want to go for a bass. I'll spin a flathead. I'll go offshore. But even just, you don't even, boat's great, But even when I was at Port Macquarie driving up and down the river, I'd just be like, oh, you could land-based fish there and you catch stuff, and you could land-based fish there. And then Pat's showing me all this spot. He goes, oh, if you go up there, Lee, you catch bass. And if you go down here, and in season, what we do is drive along the beach, and then you wait for the schools of longtail to come ripping along the beach, and then you drive up the beach ahead of the longtails and cast stick baits at them. I'm like, yeah, of course you do. We do the same thing in the yard. We're working their way up Morty Alley Pier.
Yeah, that's right. And they're 16 centimetres long.
Yeah.
So the bass fishery just inland from some of those places we spoke about, Port Macquarie, Kempsey, Coffs and that, the bass rivers are just insane up there. Need to do more of that.
And the Mulloway, you just brought it up. Look, I would love to do more of that. Look, they're bloody sick, and they're everywhere up there. You know,
it was a bullshit season, this one as well, wasn't it, Lee?
Oh, they're just.
Or is it just normal for them?
It's just normal there, man. Like, even I caught one there, like on my own. I just went, tide change. I'll go to the river mouth, and because Dewey's hanging out at the river mouths, and 10 casts into it, get a metre 13 Jew. Like,
yeah. So Lee didn't need anyone, Hardy.
No.
He did it on his own.
Made it turn on, so he got that out pretty quick, didn't he?
No, it was more that Pat didn't want to come. He was sick of listening to my shit and my 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would say Port Macquarie is very, very high on my list.
Yeah, I liked it.
I reckon in the last 10 years that I've been.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right up there.
Yeah.
Like,
Nice.
in fact, earlier tonight I did say to Poppy, my youngest daughter, how would you feel about moving to Port Macquarie? I did tonight. And she just went,
Wow.
where's that?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Paradise.
Don't worry, there's heaps of bass.
Very,
You'll love
very livable town. And you mentioned the climate, Hardy. I think it's the most consistent climate in Australia. That section of the coast there. It's it's very easy place to live. That's cool though, because it's kind of not a. I won't say it's not like a spoken about spot, but like we spoke about Cairns, and you might talk about some place in WA or up near Darwin and that. It's cool just to pick a spot like that and see the reaction it's had or the impact it's had on both of you guys is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's also not that surprising when you think it. Even when you look at maps of places like that, you just go far out. You can explore that section of coast for a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You could just explore it. And I think the thing I like about those places, maybe you too, Hardy, you see yourself and you go, I could live here and I don't need to have an extravagant lifestyle to live. Like, I could just have a cool little beach shack sort of house and my boat and my kayak and be really bloody happy with life living in a place like that.
Yep.
I could picture you in a shack that you've just knocked up yourself. It doesn't
wouldn't stand up for very long.
No, it doesn't. It's not fully waterproof or windproof, but it does the job. Your swag's in the corner. You're sweet. All your fishing gear is very well protected. That's in a very insulated room and plastered
That's
water.
temperature controlled.
Yes. But you and the kids, just on the decking, you're fine.
Yeah, 100%.
Most consistent climate in the world.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Well, I think
don't worry about it. In fact, there wouldn't be a bed because you just sleep when you're dead. There's too much to do.
There's too much to be done.
Yeah. Just fish.
Yeah, nighttime Mulloway time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You did some nighttime Mulloway fishing recently, Lee. Well, I saw it on YouTube anyway. Where was that?
That was at your favourite. That was at your favourite waterway.
It was too. That's right.
I do recall asking you 8,000 times to come with me.
Yeah. See, okay, I'm just publicly going to explain to you what I explain to you very regularly. I have a normal job. You don't. So that's the sticking point.
Yeah, but I'm trying to work out if it's that you're busy or that hi Maggie. I'm trying to work out if you're busy or you're actually just trying to avoid me. Yeah, and I figure if I ask it enough times, eventually one day you will fuck up and you'll go, and I'll be like, got ya, you're coming.
Mate, you know how much I want to be away with you as much as I can, but it just doesn't work. I tell you what we do need to do. I think the four of us need to do a trip together. And maybe to that particular spot on the south coast of New South Wales, Lee, could be just the spot.
Yep.
And, if we get sick of one particular person in this team, then it's a very isolated spot. We could soon get rid of them.
3-person panel next Christmas.
Look, let's just say it's a really long walk back to Tassie.
It's a very long.
I'm scared.
Wow.
I don't want to come with you boys. It's New South Wales.
Why don't we do it? Why don't we do it? Let's do it.
Let's do it. It would be
It'd be
fun.
That'd be awesome.
Leak and supply.
And there's lots of Mulloway there. There's lots of Mulloway.
All right.
Have you've caught some good Mulloway, haven't you, Hardy?
Not
Or
really, no.
Yeah, metre 14.
Yeah. I've only got one about 1.45. No, I've never caught a big Mulloway. I'd like to.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go and
do
do the South Australian thing on the West Coast beach.
I thought you did the beaches.
I did.
I thought you did that.
We went there at the wrong time, and we caught little Mulloway. But we didn't really know what we were doing. But never caught a big Mulloway, so that's still on the bucket list.
There's not Mulloway in Tassie, is there?
No, which is weird because there's everything else, moving down, but there's never been a reported encounter with a Mulloway, and there's been plenty of netting and stuff like that over the years.
It actually is strange that one or two or 10 haven't, made their way across and happened to get caught up in a net or get eat a snapper.
You get many at like Wilson's Promontory.
Do they get them? Over the years, there's been a couple caught, and apparently the pros get a few, and they're always big. Whenever you hear of one out of Welsh Pool, it's a 60 or 70 pound.
Yeah, because there to Flinders Island is not far.
No, that's it.
Like not far at all, and so it is weird that they haven't turned up here. Maybe a matter of time, or I don't know.
Let's stock them.
Stock them.
Let's get a bucket of juveniles and take
trout
it over.
dams over here.
That's it. Well, who knows? There might be some more of that. I think estuary perch is getting spoken about. It's something that will, don't know, might happen. Anyway, well, boys, I'm happy to let you go, and Hardy's probably needs a refill.
You're going to leave it on estuary perch. That's a real highlight.
Well, you're not. What's wrong with estuary perch?
Oh no! Wake me up tomorrow.
All right, well, let you finish it. Give us something to end on.
Good Mulloway bait.
Yeah, Mulloway. The mythical Mulloway. No, I don't know. I have caught estuary perch, but do we rate them? Do we love them?
I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan.
Why?
Hey, Hardy, do you like barra fishing?
Yeah. They're not barra, though, are they?
Barra.
They're not barra, though, are they?
Well, but they do exactly the same stuff as barra,
Right.
just on a smaller scale.
All right.
Just downsize all your gear and have it a go.
All right,
You just
I
sound like
apologise
you're
for
a
talking
negative
about
Nelly.
Hardy, come over here and we'll do a road trip and we'll go and catch perch and flatheads and mulloway and we'll do all that.
I'd like to do that, and I'll stop being such a
And
negative
that's
Nelly.
all doable in one trip. It really is.
Well, you guys should go and film that. That would be very
That'd be
Yeah,
enjoyable.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll drag him over.
Right.
I wouldn't take him flathead fishing though, because if he got another big one, I just don't think I could. I just don't think I could
Too
survive.
soon.
I'm happy
soon.
to quit flathead fishing. I don't need another flathead. I have nothing else.
Yeah,
Hey, Hardy, have you ever caught cobia?
Yep.
Luke.
I've
Just
caught,
fascinated.
I've caught cobra on the fly, actually, sight casting them off manta rays.
Of course you have.
Oh, so it's just that easy for you doing it on the fly. Did you hear that, Lee? He's about to log off. Lee has left the chat. I find it. What I love is that someone as successful and with the ability of Lee Rayner, there is still the fish that eludes him, and I love that.
I saw some of the most ridiculous cobia you'll ever see in your life.
Shut up.
I was I was at SeaWorld 2 days ago. They're that fat.
Did they
It
fight
looked like
hard?
they're going to explode out of their skin. It's insane.
Right.
Do you know
It's
there's been
insane.
2 cobia caught at St Helens down here in Georges Bay?
Really?
Legit. Only like...
Well, that shows how bad I'm going. They're catching him in fucking Tassie.
They've caught 2 over the last
You're
5 years,
clearly in
and
the
they're
wrong spot.
legitimately cobia. They're not very big, but they are cobia, and photos and whatever
Wow,
else.
that's
They're
cool.
with the little kingfish. So
Well, I have years ago, Hardy. I know there was 1 or 2 caught off 90 Mile Beach, like surf fishing,
yeah, right.
and they're only
Really?
like 4 kilo ones, 4 or 5 kilo, but they were 100% caught off the surf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's
So are they
awesome.
just sort of out and about? They're not. What's the? Yeah, they're not necessarily warm tropical water fish or anything. They're just cruising with currents and.
They're pretty
knows?
tropical, though, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I thought they were warm
Yeah.
water fish, but 90 Mile Beach in the middle of summer is still not warm water. Or
no.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get there one day. I'd love to catch one sooner rather than later. Sorry, Lee.
Thank you.
Mate, you've done it all. There's only a certain amount of things that we might be
nemesis.
able to get the upper hand on.
nemesis.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you know what? It always gives you something to strive for.
Yeah.
Yep, correct.
Have you got
That's what I keep
bonefish,
telling
Lee?
myself. No, I haven't. I've never fished for a bone though, but I would like to have a go at a
Same.
bonefish.
So,
You haven't done bonefish, did you say, Hardy, or you have?
no. I got a big tarpon in America last year. That was cool.
Oh, you remember you telling me
Yeah,
about that? That
that's
sounds
pretty
awesome.
good.
Fish.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of bucket list fish that I've got. Bone.
Well, go on. Let's hear a few
Well,
of them.
bonefish. Big mulloway.
Yep.
That's about it. I caught everything else.
Not flathead.
Not flathead. Done. Tick. What about you, Lee? What would be your top 2 or 3?
Oh, I don't know, man, that's hard. Like, it's hard.
Apart from
I'll
Cody.
tell you what, I would like to see something as not some extravagant species. I would love to catch a 20-pound trout, a genuine
20-pound
20-pound trout. And I know it's just a dirty spotted carp to a lot of people, but I'd love to catch something like that. That'd be cool.
West Coast rivers down here is where you do that. There's a few that get turned out every year.
Yeah, in those West Coast rivers and that.
Yeah.
That's
insane.
Proper fish, eh?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
yeah.
ridiculous. That's the unicorn.
And I think probably because that's a fish, you can only find a trout like that in a couple of places in the world.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yep. That'd be good.
And to
Yeah.
the fact that it's like just down in Tassie, pretty special.
Yeah.
Bloody oath. What does a fish like that do? Does it go hard, or is it just a bit of a slob and not do? Have you caught big trout in those lakes, Hardy?
Oh, big, like, maybe 10 pound or so.
Right.
Most of them don't do too much, but they're sort of strong at the boat, so they're hard to sort of get their
Yeah.
head up. But having said that, I got towed up by a big one in Lake Crescent recently. Like, it was a different animal. Like, it hit the lure near the boat and ran and jumped and bloody, it was gone. It was like, it was a different animal. So they can go, but generally the big trout just sort of slog it out, and they're sort of hard to get up. They fight harder than a bloody Murray cod or something like that, but they,
Right.
they've got stamina, but they're not speedy or fast.
You're not a cod fan, Hardy?
Yeah, I am.
It's okay. You don't have to be.
No, I like the fact you can catch massive ones.
Yeah. What about redfin? Adam's favourite fish in the world is a redfin.
Yeah.
Ready's good.
Silence was... Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Lee loves a redfin.
no
Maybe we
twin-
can
it's no-
introduce some redfin into the lakes in Tasmania, Adam.
I like eating.
We've
I like
already got
eating
them down
redfin.
here. Inland,
Do ya?
Inland whiting, that's what you
Yeah.
guys call them, isn't it?
Well, for their edibility, I
Yeah.
think is probably... Yeah. They chew all right. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
What's your favourite fish to eat at the moment, Hardy?
Any fish at the moment. I'm only not okay. His bear. But no, still a stripy trumpeter.
A trumpeter.
Or blue eye, or just the Hammerlala sand flathead. They're my 3 go-tos.
Trumpeter fishery strong, solid.
Strong, ridiculous rules on it. Like stupid rules
Right.
at the moment. Like you're only allowed 2. So you go 20 miles out to sea for 2 trumpeter, which is just harsh. But that's probably something else
that's a
we
bit
get
much.
into later. But yeah, no, it's fine. It's strong. Some of the scientists are saying they're in trouble and whatever else, but I don't know. I don't know where they're getting their data because there's heaps of them.
Okay. I'd love to. I haven't done a trumpeter session. I'd love to. Love to get them on jig.
Good fun fish.
They're
They're,
pretty
our,
fun.
they're our
Yeah,
really
they
the only
fight
fish
hard.
we can jig in Tassie. Like, you can jig them. You can jig the odd kingfish, the odd little snapper, but that's about it. But they're the sort of holy grail because you can get them to sort of 7-8 kilos on a jig, pretty good.
Yep.
awesome.
I think I watched an episode you did maybe last year doing that. It looked fun. Looked fun. They go all right. They go pretty hard.
They go good. They go like a snapper probably.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Give us a as we wrap up. What's happening? Where can people catch this series of Hook, Line and Sinker, Andrew?
Well, it goes to air on 7, mate, on a Sunday. But the best place probably to watch it is on Channel 7 streaming, plus 7, I think it's called, 7 plus. So it'll be on there, so you can watch it whenever you want to watch it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lee, plug your channel. Do you remember the name of it?
YouTube. Just Fishing Edge or Lee Rayner. You'll find it every Thursday. We'll drop an episode. So
nice. What's coming up? What do you got? What do you got to drop
this
in the
week?
next couple of weeks?
This week is an A to Z of beach worming and how to cure them, and actually properly how to do it. Coming into Christmas, everyone's going surf fishing. Everyone's doing that. Little disclaimer: I don't catch one.
Well, I was going to ask: are they as hard to catch as it looks? I've never tried it.
Impossible.
They're
impossible.
I've never caught one. I've tried probably 6 times in my life, and I've never caught
one.
And
they're strong. So when you actually do get hold of them, they just rip through your fingers because they're strong. If you've got to give a death grip on them to get them.
Wow.
So they suck, but they're great.
I reckon it's once you actually catch one, you'll get the knack. But I'm yet to get. I'm yet to get it because you watch guys do it and they're just pulling them out left, right, and centre. Hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one bit in it where I miss one, and then George Trinkler's son Joey just comes in next to me, gets that one back up, grabs that, and then just goes on. There's another one, and grabs that, gets 2 in 5 seconds.
Taking the piss.
But I tell you what I have got coming up actually the week after, boys, is catching snapper off the surf at Golden Beach.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's
genuine
pretty cool.
Sand-based snapper.
Wow,
that's cool.
That's something
different.
that's not. Yeah, I was going to say that is pretty different.
You don't see a lot of
what
it.
we used to.
That's cool.
In Victoria. That's cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
they go in the surf. They have a proper go.
I mean, you were
That's
fishing
cool.
for them.
Yeah, fishing for it. We got 6.
Wow.
Got 6 snappers. Well, it's not snappers, say big pinkies up to fish about 4 kilos.
Yeah.
And then 6 gummies. And my mate, he lost a genuinely big snapper, like you would say 6-8 kilos.
Wow,
Which,
that's
it
awesome.
was gold, and he pulled the hooks on.
Yeah, right.
That's mad.
Okay. And Hardy, when can we see the deep drop / hook, line, and sinker come to life? In January, did you say?
Yeah, January, February. So I think live sport bumps hook, line, and sinker most of January.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be episode 7 or 8. And I reckon end of Jan, early Feb. But it gets edited before Christmas. So
Well, stay tuned. We will promote that and let you guys know when that is going to air. I think it'll be a bit of fun. Looking forward to seeing. Is the carnage? Did that make the cut? Did that make the episode? The ink carnage.
We'll make the episode.
It's okay, Lee. It might come out eventually.
Just sell the boat. Get a new one.
I'm just selling the boat.
It's never going to be the same boat. That's okay.
Well, once again, a massive, massive thank you to everyone for tuning in over the course of 2024. It's been an awesome year, Adam. We've had a lot of fun along the way and certainly haven't got tired of it. It's just been more enjoyable every single week and every time that we get messages. So do not be strangers over this Christmas period. Reach out, share us some of these videos that you want me to react to. They're coming in thick and fast at the moment, ads. So keep them coming. I'll get to them when we can. And, of course, just let us know what you've been up to. Don't be afraid to get some merch, rep it. We'll share your stories, share your photos. Check out Lee Rayner's Fishing Edge on YouTube. Check out Hook, Line and Sinker's latest series that is out now. Andrew, Hart, Lee Rayner, thank you guys so much for joining us again for another send-off as we prepare ourselves for 2025, which sounds ridiculous a little bit, doesn't it?
It can't be. It's not. No.
It's not. Okay, it's not.
Crazy.
We're just not doing it.
Crazy. No, thank you, boys, and Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, great to chat. And I'm going to go now and lobby fisheries to stock estuary perch in Tasmania.
You ended with it.
I love it.
Adam Ring, for the final time in 2024, give us your sign-off as we say goodbye, and we will see you again real soon.
Peace.